Welcome to chapter 31, book of 1 Samuel. The last chapter, the end of the history of Saul, a man who was chosen by God but failed because he didn't do what God wanted him to do. In the Bible, other chosen entities were Israel, which failed in so many times and places. Another chosen entity was Judas Iscariot. He was chosen by Jesus, and he failed. So, being chosen, Jesus says, many are called, but few are chosen. And even of the few that are chosen, they can also fail. And Saul does. And this chapter will end the history of Saul, and we'll go into the next book of the Bible, 2 Samuel, which will be completely about King David. It begins in, the Philistines waged war against Israel. The Philistines, again, were the peoples where the Palestinians are today by the Gaza Strip. And the men of Israel fled from the face of the Philistines, and they fell slain in Mount Gilboa. This 5134.1 you can add to your English derivatives book. We have the derivative traumatize. This is traumatiae, slain. And the Philistines joined up against Saul and his sons. And the Philistines struck down Jonathan and Abinadab and Melchishua, sons of Saul. And the battle weighs down against Saul. And the shooters find him, men bowmen, and he was wounded in the spleen. There's another one you can add. We have the English word hypochondria, which is, I think has a different meaning than spleen, but the word, same word. And Saul said to the one carrying his weapons, "Unsheathe your broadsword and pierce me with it, lest these uncircumcised should come and should pierce me, and should mock against me." But the one carrying his weapons didn't want to, for he feared exceedingly. There's the phobe, for phobia, fearing. And Saul took his broadsword and fell upon it. And the one carrying his weapons beheld that Saul died, and he fell also himself upon his broadsword and died with him. And Saul died, and his 3 sons, and the one carrying his weapons, and all his men in that day at the same time. Complete destruction. And the men of Israel beheld, the ones on the other side of the valley, and the ones on the other side of the Jordan, that the men of Israel fled, and that Saul died and his sons. And they leave their cities and flee. So it looks bad for the Jews. And the Philistines come and dwell in them in their cities. And it came to pass on the next day, and the Philistines come to strip the slain, and they find Saul and his 3 sons fallen on the mountains of Gilboa. So they go there to strip the people of all the things that they have, goods and bounty, more or less. So they find them all, and they behead him and strip him of his weapons and send him ascend into the land of the Philistines round about, announcing good news to their idols and to their people. And they presented his weapons in the Astartion. Astarte was the goddess that they had. And his body they fastened down on the, get it here? Wall in Bethshan. And the ones dwelling in Jabesh, Gilead, hear concerning as much as the Philistines did to Saul, and I believe Gilead is on the other side of the Jordan, and all the men of power rose up and went the entire night and took the body of Saul and the body of Jonathan his son from the wall in Bethshan. And they brought them into Jabesh and incinerated them there. And they took their bones, osteoporosis, the bones, and derivative, and entombed them by the plowed field in Jabesh, and fasted 7 days. It's the end of King Saul. And we read in the last chapter where David was marauding, and then he went back to Ziklag after he was rejected by the Philistine rulers. When he got back to Ziklag, the town was burnt and all the people were taken. And he went after them, got the people back, and then sent gifts throughout Judea, Israel. So the people receiving all these gifts afterwards, the death of Saul and Jonathan, then I believe started to realize that David was the one chosen by God to replace King Saul. And we will begin in the second book of Samuel and find out all the things about the life of David. I hope you'll join us. Until then, God bless.